And we're live. Welcome to Team Tank episode 9. We are here sitting on the edge of our seats for any and all Woj notifications. So far, nothing has really happened throughout this entire deadline day. I have with me tonight, we wrangled most of the crew. Ryan is currently stuck in Las Vegas with Ty Lawson. They're trying to negotiate some kind of trade. I have with us, we have Gary. Gary, look, do you guys want to have a moment of silence for Gary and my UNC Tar Heels? Because that was brutal. That really sucked.
Yeah, that one stung. That hurts.
I mean, just like the worst part to me about that loss was how much shit Duke fans were talking before the game, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's gonna be murder. It's gonna be this, that, the other, and man, that's a bummer. What are your thoughts on that game?
Well, I had a really bad feeling going into it. Like I felt like we were gonna lose by double digits because we've been playing so poorly lately. And then they get our hopes up by putting on a big second half run and building a double digit lead and just choking it away at the end. And oh man, that's been kind of indicative of the season so far. They play well and then they can't seem to close out these games.
It was like the exact opposite of that Lakers game against the Suns earlier this season, where it looked like they were just going to cruise, for an easy loss. There was going to be no stress, and then like Nick Young comes in and goes off for like 26 points in the fourth quarter and almost like single-handedly won the game for us.
Except at the end of the day, I don't think the Lakers won that game. Like this one,
No, they didn't. I just meant it was.
Yeah, it's just like this one. It's just the ultimate kick in the nuts. Like it already hurts enough to root for Laker losses throughout an entire year. Like it's not fun, Like when I'm rooting, like outwardly rooting and jumping around my apartment because Victor Oladipo is about to ice the game. Like I actually have to like catch myself afterward and say, oh man, thanks guys, And then, to get back into that mode of, yeah, I'm going to root for a win. Like, this is awesome. This is great. Oh, they're going to beat Duke. This is the best of it. Mother.
From a non-biased point of view, though, that probably was the game of the year so far, at least.
Yeah, it really was.
It was fun. It was fun to watch. Yeah, exactly. I'm coming from like unbiased as well. Like I didn't really have a rooting interest, but it was fun.
Yeah, and shouts to Duke for their moment of silence there for Dean Smith too.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, that was really nice to see.
Yeah, and then Matt's already chimed in. Harrison's already chimed in. Rahul has yet to say a word. How are you guys all doing?
Doing good. Man, I saw so many overreactions during this game. It was crazy. I saw a ton of. I saw some of the more emotional UNC fans. Oh no, Okafor is going to be a bust.
That must have been fun to listen to. I wasn't actually able to. I had the game. I was out to dinner. I had the game. We were eating dinner at a sports bar, so I was watching, but I wasn't on Twitter. What was Twitter like, Harrison?
I mean, my Twitter is mostly Laker fans, so it was like pretty tame. But like I can imagine that like on the like college, on college basketball Twitter, it was probably turning into the purge.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there was like Rahul said, there was a lot of overreaction like on Okafor's defense, which he hurt his ankle, so that might have had something to do with it. But for him, it's not like to me, it's not the fact that he can't defend because I think he can. It's just an effort thing with him. When he plays hard on that end, he does really well, and he rebounds and contests shots and all this stuff. But they need him so much on the offensive end. I think that he kind of his main focus on defense is to just stay out of foul trouble so that he's there on the other end, which they needed him. I mean, their big three they were huge tonight down the stretch.
Yeah, that's the thing about like college basketball is they don't have like the strength and conditioning staffs, and like these are like he's he's 19, right?
Yeah.
Like he's not in the best shape that he's going to be in his life. So like I think that's probably, like you said, a big part of it is he's trying to save his energy for how much he has to carry them on offense and the bum ankle thing, like because he did hurt that late in the second quarter.
And he's asked to do a lot for them on offense too, right? I mean, he anchors their offense, and at the end of the day, like it's hard to anchor both sides of a team. I mean, that's why like I'm really impressed with Chris Paul's season so far this year, because he's expected to play defense against lead guards and then also carry an offense. That's really freaking hard to do.
Yeah, with no meniscus in either of his knees too.
Right. We had Justin Russo on there. He was pretty down in the dumps about the prospect of Chris Paul having to do that for a second half of the season.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess we'll kind of move on from college basketball, thankfully, because again that was rough. I wore my North Carolina shorts underneath my jeans tonight out to dinner, and my jeans have less room than when I was in high school, oddly enough. But yeah, so we'll talk about the trade deadline thus far. It's been pretty quiet, right? No trades have happened yet today that I can think of. It's been a lot of rumors about this, that, or the other. What do you guys think about Goran Dragic being the domino that kind of gets everything rolling?
I mean, it's nice that there's some excitement now going into the trade deadline. But, because before it was just boring. Like, it seemed like nothing was going to happen. There were no rumors. And then yesterday, his agent, just to come out and demand a trade in the media like that was and then to hear Dragic's comments on it today, it was refreshing to hear an athlete, be that honest with the media about how he feels about his organization.
Yeah, it really was. The news was, dead. There weren't even, rumors going on until the news about Dragic came out, and then all of a sudden all this stuff starts coming into play. You got trade rumors from all over the place. I don't think any trades have actually been made. It's just all rumors at this point, which is kind of surprising, but there's still 12, 13 hours till the deadline or whatever. So but yeah, I mean, like Harrison said, I actually love the fact that he came out and he's just blunt, just honest. And a lot of players give you the politically correct answer when asked, and I mean, he was straight up, and I got to give him a lot of respect for that, and because I hate Phoenix too. So.
No, and I agree. And with Dragic, I like how he's like, I'm gonna leave you guys. If you want to get something for me, you have till tomorrow. So it's it's considerate in a way too. But it's interesting from from a Lakers perspective, because a lot of fans don't want to trade for Dragic, but there's also some that do. So it's going to be interesting tomorrow to see if it actually happens, all the different reactions on Twitter.
Yeah.
Rahul, what do you think of, because I mean, for whatever reason recently, any kind of period of player movement has been held up by X domino, right? Like it was Dwight Howard in that 2013 offseason. It was LeBron in the next year, right? And then it was it seems like this year everything's kind of tilting on what happens with Dragic. Do you think the entire league will be motivated to make more moves once we figure out what happens with Dragic?
Yeah, I mean, there's the Houston's involved, Boston's involved, LA, New York, and I think once Dragic is gone, then everything else opens up, right? Because he's definitely the biggest name on the market right now, and honestly, I think all of the teams are a bit reluctant. Like the Lakers, just obviously, I mean, it's a good thing. They don't want to go out there and just make some trade, which would be ill-advised, because maybe, I mean, obviously the ideal case is a team like Houston offers too much for him, and then they end up losing out because he signs with us in free agency anyway. So I think all of the teams they're kind of waiting on each other to see who's going to strike first, because nobody wants to. I don't think anybody wants to act first, because there's a good chance they lose out, especially with Dragic, given that he can just come sign with LA or New York in the summer.
Well, and everything that's been reported too is that Phoenix isn't they're not overly desperate to trade him. It's been reported that they think that if they keep him, that they can try and convince him to stay. And so I think that means that they're not going to just settle for some garbage deal. And yeah, I just thought that was interesting, and the fact that he doesn't care about the 5th year of his a max contract. I thought was really interesting too. And I thought the most interesting thing actually was the 3 teams that he listed, because 2 of them are at the bottom of the league right now, in the Knicks and the Lakers, and then the Heat are battling for a playoff spot, but they're not very good right now. It just shows you that big markets still have appeal to them. Like there's this notion that nobody wants to play for the Lakers or whatever. But he had 3 preferred teams, and this is probably the worst year in Laker franchise history. It could definitely end up being that way, and they're still a preferred team to a guy like Goran Dragic.
He clearly cares where he's gonna live past the season.
Yeah, is anybody a little worried though about some of these things that we're hearing that are what he wants? He wants to have the ball flow through him like Stephen Curry is one of the things from that Yahoo report last night. And he's not Stephen Curry. I don't know if maybe he was making an analogy, but if he or someone around him, if they actually think he's that good, that's almost, I don't know, is that a little worrisome to any of you?
It's not too worrisome for me. I mean, obviously, you don't want him as your best player, because if he is, then you're not going to be very good. But I think he should be a major featured part of your offense, because if you run him in pick and roll situations, he's fantastic. He is so well in pick and roll games. He can create, he can shoot, he can, he really can do it all. As far as that goes, which is why if we did trade for him or we sign him, I actually wish that we still had D'Antoni, because him with D'Antoni would be amazing.
Well, I think the demands and stuff like that, that's just a player who's finally, because look at his career, right? In his career, he's had to follow Steve Nash, right? He rode the bench behind Steve Nash, and then he goes to Houston and is playing behind Kyle Lowry or playing with Kyle Lowry. And now he finally has a voice, right? So we can't, not. I don't think you necessarily meant it this way, Harrison, but we can't say, yeah, it's really cool this guy finally found his voice, and then knock the stuff that he says, that's kind of my knock on when people talk about whatever's going on with Kevin Durant. We want our athletes to be honest. And then at the same time say, whoa, we're going to pick apart everything you say, And I like that he's demanding a few things. He's finally developed some leverage for himself. He's played himself into some leverage, and let him speak his mind. That doesn't mean the Lakers have to give him everything, but right now the Suns aren't really giving him much of any of his demands, right, Matt? Which on that checklist, they aren't marking anything off of there.
No, they're not, and they they have a bunch of other guards, which I don't think he's been too happy about, because he's last year was his career year, and this year he's fallen off a little bit, but I think he's just ready to move on. And even though Phoenix thinks that they can maybe persuade him to come back if they don't trade him, I think he's gone in the summer, regardless.
Yeah, I mean the issue I see here with Dragic is, one, teams now are smarter. They aren't going to give up assets for somebody who they could acquire in the offseason, right? And that's what the Suns are dealing with regardless. And you also have on the same ticket, you have the Suns probably overvaluing Dragic and the leverage they have in that situation. Then you also have on the other side, Gary, you and I wasn't able to tweet back at you, and this conversation probably is pretty fruitful here. The idea of the Lakers overvaluing their free agents. What are your 2 cents on your perspective on the Lakers potentially overvaluing what they have to offer?
Yeah, I think I have a different perspective than most people do with it, because we had Powell last year and we got nothing for him, and we have Jordan Hill this year, and it looks like we're not going to trade him, although there's still time left. But no, I actually have no issue with the Lakers overvaluing their guys, because you kind of have a reputation as a general manager, as a negotiator. And I remember Daryl Morey, I think it was last year, or maybe it was earlier this year, said that Mitch Kupchak was the best negotiator in the league. And that's because he overvalues his players. He doesn't settle for poor deals. And I think if you build up a reputation for that, like if the Lakers would have said, okay, we'll take a second rounder and an expiring deal for Powell last year, and then they did the same thing for Jordan Hill this year, then you get that reputation, and general managers kind of see that, and they're like, okay, well, we're not, coming to terms right now, but I know you're going to cave as the deadline approaches, so I'm not going to up my offer at all. So I think if you stand your ground and you really show that, hey, we're not going to budge off of what we want, and if you don't give it to us, then we'll just go without a deal, and you guys won't get anything, neither will we.
Well, that's the issue that I have with it, right? I mean, they aren't getting anything, and they're in the situation they are right now where they have to build around such few assets because they haven't gotten anything for very talented players, right? And now the one legitimate argument that you have, especially with like Pau Gasol, and it's really hard to match big contracts right now, It's like you look around the league. It used to be when you would go on the the trade machine there on ESPN. When you would go on there, you would find, hey, wow, I can't believe this player is getting paid this much. Of course, they want to trade that contract for him, right? But you go and you try to do that now, and that isn't there, So that lends some credence to the fact that you don't want to just take that contract for the sake of having a contract, make a move for the sake of making a move. Yeah. But the other side of that coin is we can't keep watching these guys like with Jordan Hill. I believe they gave up a first and Derek Fisher for Jordan Hill, right?
I think so.
I think that's correct.
Yeah.
And they also gave up a first rounder for Ramon Sessions, if I have that correct, right?
Yeah, but they got rid of Luke Walton, so I think it was well worth it.
Good point. That's a good point. But what I'm getting at here is that they're losing assets for these guys that they wind up letting walk in the offseason anyway. And all that does is it keeps draining the resources that they have to now allocate a lot more smartly during this rebuild. And man, I get that Morey says that Kupchak is a great negotiator, but part of me thinks he might be saying that tongue in cheek. Oh yeah, Kupchak's a great negotiator, and we got Dwight Howard for nothing. Man, what do you think about the position that puts the Lakers in, Harrison?
I think there's kind of a middle ground between the two perspectives. In the case of Powell, it was hard. It would have been hard to just trade him last year for just a second round pick or whatever, because then I kind of addressed this on our podcast earlier this week. It's a bad look around the league when you cast off one of a guy that you won 2 championships with, went to 3 finals with, and you send him off for a second round pick or whatever. I can see why they did, and it also Powell's salary was really hard to match, like you were talking about in the trade machine last year. But this year, I think I'm kind of more in agreement with you on that. You can't just take nothing for these guys, or a really bad offer. But you have to really, really try to get something, and I just wonder how hard they're trying to move them, or if they really are, just sitting and saying what, we're okay getting nothing, and they can't be okay getting nothing right now. They need to, number one, these guys are they're playing really well, and as perverse as it feels to want to get rid of a guy because he's playing well, that's kind of the reality that the collective bargaining agreement puts us in this year, and with the way that our pick's protected, only to a certain point. So I think that they do need to, for a multitude of reasons, they need to cast off Hill and Davis, or maybe not necessarily Davis, but they need to trade Jordan Hill for something. Somebody willing to get something.
The Jordan Hill one is the one that just bothers me the most, because I don't think he's going to come back next year. I don't think we're going to pick up the option or anything. Mozgov got was worth 2 second-round picks, and I'm not saying you can get 2 second-round picks with Hill, but I mean, I
Two
feel
firsts.
First round pick.
well, sorry, yeah, 2 firsts, and eventually it could turn into 2 seconds, but yeah. But I feel like he's worth like at least 1 pick. You can get something out of him. The team could use Jordan Hill, like we've all been saying for months now. So that's the one that I have issue with. That if nothing happens by tomorrow and he's still a Laker.
Go ahead, Gary.
What a lot of people kind of forget though too is that he's actually kind of hard to move in terms of like how many teams could actually use him, because you obviously what would be ideal is trading him to a team that's either A, making a push for the playoffs, or B, is already a contender and just needs another piece. And the fact that he makes $9 million, Anthony, you kind of talked about it as far as like the salaries. Guys that make that much money on other teams usually are worth it. They're well worth it. Unless you're talking about like Kendrick Perkins, who is worth like maybe the minimum, if that. But no, I mean, there's like a handful of teams. Off the top of my head, I remember
OKC was one, right?
OKC, I think Toronto had some. I think Landry Fields has a pretty kind of ridiculous contract.
Yeah,
he does.
It's the same deal as Lynn. It's the same.
Landry was that whole thing where they tried to throw him a max offer because they wanted to tie up New York's cap space in New York's pursuit of Nash.
Yeah. Well, because, okay, so I'm trying to think. Oklahoma City, Toronto, I mentioned Milwaukee probably like a month or so ago, just because they're a playoff team right now, and they're about $7 million under the cap, so they can actually take more money on without sending back the same amount. But yeah, it's kind of tricky, and the fact that he has a no trade clause if you don't pick up his option could be throwing things off too. I actually tweeted this I think yesterday. Maybe they've talked about deals, and Jordan Hill said, no, I'm happy here. I don't want to go anywhere, and because I can't imagine there's really any team out there that wants to pick up his team option, which would veto his trade or his power to nix a trade. But yeah, I can't imagine there's too many teams that want that second year at $9 million for him, and so he kind of controls his own destiny. So it's just tricky with him. There's a lot of things that go into it, and I think we've talked about like second rounders. Second rounders, the Lakers have done fairly well with those the past few years, but man, there's so many second rounders that don't even stay in the league more than 2-3 years. So it's really a guessing game, and just like I said, I don't blame the Lakers if they don't get a deal done. Obviously, we want one, but I have no problem with overvaluing guys.
Sun Yue takes so much offense to your take on second rounders. Oh,
the Chinese magic.
I remember believing that in high school, like thinking he was actually going to pan out because of all the hype behind him.
I just remember it was like, he's 6'9", Magic is 6'9". All right, so
end of comparison.
We're gonna. What are you talking about? If we're gonna talk about Jeremy Lin being compared to Chris Paul, I'm just kidding.
Hey, he had 38 points against the Spurs one time. Okay, you shut your mouth, Anthony.
No, he dropped 38 on Kobe.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we're gonna take this in a slightly different direction here. We're gonna try something new with a couple of games that we came up with on our own creative minds here. We're gonna start with Gary. Why don't you go ahead and lead us into the game you want to play with us?
All right, so amid all the Dragic rumors and all of that stuff, and whether the Lakers should trade for him, whether they shouldn't. This has been an idea that's been done by a number of shows before, but we're going to go one by one to each person, and it's just going to be fill in the blank. So we're going to say the Lakers trading for Goran Dragic would be blank, and we'll start with Anthony.
The Lakers trading for Goran Dragic would be a tragedy. It would be.
Boo.
Whoa! My wife just walked in and threw a tomato at me. No, The problem I have with the Lakers trading for Dragic, you guys actually know what? No, I didn't want to go there. Your word, Harrison.
I mean, I don't know how I'm going to top Dragic. It would be, yeah, it would be bad. I don't have a creative word ready for it. There's so many reasons to not do it and so few to do it. Like, I can't. I've tried to play devil's advocate in my own mind. I just can't talk myself into like any scenario where it's a good idea to trade for him right now when we can pursue him in free agency.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, Matt. What do you got?
I'd go with a mix of risky and bittersweet. I do like him as a player. I say risky because I feel like if we trade for him and worst case scenario we lose the pick, which is the number one priority, that would turn into a complete disaster. But I use bittersweet because, I think he's a solid point guard. I wouldn't mind if he was part of our future. Like if he was someone that we went for in free agency, I totally would be much more okay with it than if we traded for him. But the only concern I have is keeping the pick.
All right, rookie. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean it would be impatient. I mean, like if they were to trade for Dragic, it would probably be for this for the sake of making for the sake of doing a trade. Like there's no other reason, right? Like you said, like the worst case situation is like Dragic makes us better. You lose the top 5 pick, and then the rebuild would be screwed, right? So
for those of you keeping record at home, we have me with a terrible pun. Harrison struggled to come up with bad. Matt used 2 words.
I cheated.
Rahul, the rookie, was the one with the best answer.
Okay, I can think of I can think of one other bad pun to use with Dragic's name, and you guys are probably gonna think this is ridiculous, but it would be a dragastrophe.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Leave.
All right.
You don't even need to explain that one.
That pun was a dragastrophe.
I couldn't leave Anthony out there by himself.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right.
No, but
did you want to do the same thing with a couple other potential trade partners? I guess they're looking at Reggie Jackson and Ty Lawson.
Yeah, just real quick, I wanted to touch on the whole Dragic idea. I think if you're the Lakers in this scenario, you have to look at the worst case scenario if you trade for him. Say you trade for him, say you trade Jordan Hill and Wayne Ellington and the Houston pick or something like that. So not only do you trade basically your only guaranteed first-round pick because the Rockets aren't going to miss the playoffs, but so say you trade that first-round pick and then whoever, you get Dragic, he helps you win enough games to where you fall out of the top 5 and you lose that pick, and then he leaves in the offseason. Like that would set the franchise back like at least 3 years because you just lost the guy that you gave up an asset to get. You still don't have like hardly any assets, and like you're just left sitting there with nothing. And yeah, it would be a huge blow to the organization.
And the other thing is like, do we really expect 29 games under Byron, in this with this horrible team to sell him on like, oh yeah, I want to play with the Lakers for 5 years.
Yeah.
Like this is gonna be great. Like this guy's like making my teammates like push strollers to games, and like he benched me for Price because I didn't take a charge. Like I don't see how being on the team right. Like it's almost like the grass is always greener on the other side is kind of how I think about it. And like the Lakers look like this, like maybe they still have like some like glitziness or whatever appeal to like that way to him right now, but if he's actually like on this team right now, like it's got to be depressing. Like
so basically it's risky, and that means I had the best word, right?
I mean
that's what I'm trying to say is that you had the best word, Matt.
I mean, I guess we can all say like this notion that like nobody wants to come to the Lakers is just it's not true. It's just clearly not true.
It's like I feel like it's a media created thing, like the whole like, are the Clippers going to surpass the Lakers in LA?
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Like big markets still have a ton of pull.
It's more of like something that's fun to write about and then argue about with the fans, or it gets people to like comment on your article or click on it like because they want to disagree with you. And
Yeah.
you know, it's where it, like rather than it being like a real problem.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's go to the next one. What do you think, Gary?
All right, we'll talk about Ty Lawson first, which I just saw Woj tweeted something about Lawson that the Nuggets really aren't seriously considering like a trade. They're entertaining it, but not seriously considering it. So,
well, at least until Robert Sacre is on the table, right?
that's giving up way too much for Ty Lawson.
Yeah, great thing. All right, let's reverse the order this time. I'll go.
Okay. Okay, so we'll start with the rookie. So trading for Ty Lawson would be blank.
Not a bad idea. I mean, as long as we're not giving up draft picks, because I mean, honestly, I mean, Ty Lawson, he's much younger than Dragic, and he'll I guess he has more upside. He's a better defender. So I guess in terms of a long-term rebuild, he is a better option to me. Like, if you wanted to go hard after either Dragic or Lawson, I would pick Lawson. Obviously, you still don't want to give up too much, but I mean, yeah. See, the only danger is the same danger of Dragic is he makes us a lot better. But I mean, I guess if you're willing to take that risk, I guess it would not be a bad idea. Certainly not as bad as trading for Dragic.
All right. Well, okay. So next up is Matt.
I'm gonna cheat again and use two words. I'm keeping risky.
Again? Really?
I'm keeping risky. But I smarter. I prefer. I agree with you. I prefer Lawson over Dragic. I just think I think he's a better point guard. He's younger. I like the fit. But same concern with possibly losing a pick, which is why I still think it's risky.
All right. So Harrison's up next.
The Lakers trading for Ty Lawson should be against the law, son. Because
all right, we got Harrison on board.
Oh, man.
Just because, I'm sorry, like, I hate to be a downer. I like Lawson for all the reasons that you guys said. I think he's a little better than Dragic. Like, the Lakers really got, like, a great audition from him in that in that game last week.
Yeah.
You know, he's on a more affordable he's on a longer-term, more affordable contract. He can't just walk this offseason for nothing. Like I said, I like his game. I just, like, keeping the pick has to be the number one concern right now, and I just I'm worried about him. Like, we've been in so many close games where, like, we've been lucky to have, like, you know, Lynn turn over the ball a bunch of times, or, like, you know, Wesley Johnson missed some free throws, or, you know, so, like, stuff like that to happen to, like, you know, end up losing. Whereas if you have, like, a competent point guard in the last 5 minutes of a game, that makes, like, a huge difference. Like, for, you know, whether or not you're going to win or lose when it's within a couple baskets.
Well, and they won that game solely on Ty Lawson's contract.
Yeah, it was exactly like, it was the opposite. It was kind of the argument that I'm making. Like, he basically won them that game by being by far the best player on the court. And, like, we have, like, several games coming up against the Wolves and the Knicks and the Sixers. And, you know, like, as agonizing and, like, you know, dirty as it feels to root for losses, like, it's not fun. But it's what needs to happen. Like, the thing that needs to be examined is, like, the CBA, and if there's a better way to, like, deal out draft picks than this.
Right. Right.
And that's a longer podcast, but I just wanted to, I don't want to be the constant downer on here, always like seeming like I'm just having a ball rooting for losses. You try to find fun in it, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. I did see a lot of people talk about that one player wouldn't make a difference because we'd be sending some out, but when it's a guy that can go out and get 32 and 16, yeah, that makes a pretty big difference. So, all right, Anthony, do you got another pun for us?
You guys ready for this one?
Oh,
You guys
boy.
ready? I'm gonna turn this podcast on its head. You ready? Trading for Ty Lawson would be Ty Lawson. I love it. Yeah.
Not bad. Not bad.
All right. So fill me out here. If the Nuggets trade essentially the cornerstone piece of their franchise, right? One would think it would carve out the Lakers, right? It would probably. I mean, I don't even know why they would take both Jordan Hill and Ed Davis. It would probably take that Houston pick. It might even take. Yeah. It would probably even take Jordan Clarkson, if we're being completely honest, right? Like they would require so many pieces that the Lakers have that I would actually think the net result is one not necessarily so harmful for the tank. You're then looking at a lineup of what? Ty Lawson, Nick Young, Wesley Matthews, Carlos Boozer, and Robert Sacre. Like, I don't think that's much better than the Lakers have to offer right now. And at the end of the day, like right now, the Lakers, what they should be focusing on is gaining as many pieces that they can build with moving forward. I just don't think it puts the tank as at risk as many would think. That's a pretty damn bad team that they would be fielding right there. I don't know.
Yeah, but to kind of what Harrison said, I think when you play these bad teams like Minnesota or Philadelphia or New York again, it could be enough to win those games. And at this point, every single game is huge. When you're in a tight race like this, and especially those games, because if you win those games, that's basically, it's almost like a 2-game swing because they get another loss and you get a win to create more separation. And it's huge. Obviously, we're not saying that they would be title contenders with Lawson with this team or anything, but they'd still be bad. But yeah, it'd just be like Matt said, it'd be risky. But
I would actually say though that like in those games, the Lakers would have the best player on the floor, but players 2 through 5, I would say, would probably still be on the other team.
Yeah.
Right, because right now, like in that game with the Bulls, Jordan Hill was probably the best player on the floor, right?
Yeah.
That they won that game.
That night, yeah.
Right, and like, and like beyond that, like who's better than, I don't know, Tobias Harris if they play. I don't think they play Orlando again, do they?
No.
I think we played them twice.
Yeah.
But like if they play Minnesota, like who? I mean, Ty Lawson's obviously better than Ricky Rubio and those guys, but after that, like Andrew Wiggins is better than anybody the Lakers have on their roster right now. So my thing is you're consolidating the rebuild into Ty Lawson, and there are legitimate questions as to whether or not Ty Lawson is a piece that you can build with and/or around. Like that's a legitimate conversation to have.
Yeah. I think that basically, I think we're all in agreement on 2 things. Like number 1, Lawson would be a better option than Dragic to trade for, right?
Yeah.
And then number 2, that it would be amazing to see what Byron's reaction would be if Lawson skipped a practice.
What we need to do is figure out a way to get Lawson to skip all the practices so that Byron refuses to play him. Like that.
No, I mean maybe if he misses one, he's just suspended the rest of the year, and then the concerns are mitigated.
Yeah, like we need to find like the ideal stripper that he would fall in love with there in Vegas and never come back to the Lakers.
No, but like how would Lawson react to, like, let's say being benched? That's the thing, right?
Well, he's dealt with Brian Shaw for the last 2
Yeah,
years.
that's a great
I
point.
think he's
Yeah, but
well
Brian
prepared.
Shaw's reading books on how to deal with millennials. Okay, I think.
All right. We'll do our last one here. Go ahead, Harry. Lead us into the Gary. Harry?
Hey, that was you combined Harrison and me. That's impressive.
We got
You are drunk.
and then like a whole bunch of like Harry old guys are like Harry Nation. Woo!
All right, so of the 3-point guards, the last name on the list is the only one that would be a restricted free agent this summer. Currently a member of the Oklahoma City Thunder, actually turned down a 4-year, $48 million contract extension because he obviously wants a bigger role with the team. So we'll go with Reggie Jackson. Trading for Reggie Jackson would be blank. And we'll go back in the opposite order again, if Anthony's ready.
I am ready.
All right.
I am ready. Harrison kind of took my joke with this one, but you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. If they traded for Reggie Jackson, I would be Reggie Jackson. That'd be great. I'd be stoked on that. Look, again, you're talking about giving up. You're giving up probably Jordan Hill, and because that's a piece that they legitimately want / need to actually make the deal happen. You'd probably also be giving up Wayne Ellington. Because, again, they could really use a spot-up shooter. You're taking back Kendrick Perkins. I can't think of a better player for the tank than Kendrick Perkins. Like, on top of being terrible at basketball, he's also the kind of player that Byron Scott would love to play all the time, right? Like, toughness and all that. So he would take all the minutes, and again, you have a player who you now get to match, and now you're not risking as much losing Goran Dragic as an unrestricted free agent.
Watching Perkins and Boozer, though, like, I don't know if
I feel like we have to take a championship banner down if we put together
that's
that.
bad, man. That's like Boozer and up is hard. Like, throw in Perkins with him down low.
It's only 29 games, guys. We can do it.
Oh.
All right, Harrison, you got a word?
I mean, I don't have a word, but I can continue on the terrible puns. The Lakers shouldn't be trading for Jack, son. Like,
That's the same pun.
It's used differently.
You had a past tense.
I was, you stole mine before I could use it. So, what do you want me to do? It's 11:15 at night. I think, although I think that Reggie Jackson I agree with Anthony that this trade would be the least harmful to the tank, just because Reggie Jackson, we already, like the Lakers, their only really consistent floor spacer right now is Ellington, and they'd probably be sending him out in the deal. They'd probably be taking Perkins back, who's basically the opposite of floor spacing. I don't, and then Reggie Jackson needs that space around him to be able to get to the basket because, like, at least this year he hasn't been able to shoot at all. And so I don't know that he harms the tank as much, but I think long term, him being the younger player with the more opportunity for growth, we can match any offer that comes to him this offseason. I don't think that it hurts the tank that much, and I think that the Lakers could keep him and he could be a good piece going forward. But I think Lawson out of the options is like the most appealing. But like just from a standpoint of this year, I think Jackson hurts the tank the least. But I still don't think that they should be trading for Jackson.
All right, Matt. What do you got?
I'm not gonna do a terrible pun. Don't worry.
Oh man, we had 2 in a row there.
Are you going to use 2 words? Like,
I'm not going to use 2 words because I don't think it's risky. I'm going with indifferent. I don't mind if we traded for Reggie Jackson, but I also, it's not something that's going to, I'm going to be extremely, extremely happy about, but I totally wouldn't mind it, which is why I'm a little indifferent. I don't think, yeah, for whatever reason, I think he's a good point guard. I just don't think he'd affect the tank. Solid piece though going forward. So I wouldn't mind it, but I also I'm not going crazy over it.
All right, rookie, round us out.
My word is rebuild. I mean, the situation with Reggie Jackson's pretty similar to Ty Lawson. He's much younger than Dragic, and both have upside. I guess both are young, but I'm not that high on him. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's a really good point guard. He could be really good, but we probably won't be very good next year. If Reggie Jackson's our point guard as opposed to say Dragic, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just I'm not necessarily as high on him as say Lawson, although he's in that same class of young point guards with a ton of potential. But it's a roll of the dice, really.
So when it comes to the three, though, with Dragic, Lawson, and Jackson, we would all say that Jackson is the Jackson of all trades, right?
Yeah.
Well played.
Well, because you guys bring up good points. Obviously, he's the least harmful to the tank. He has upside. He's only 24 years old right now. I don't know when he turns 25, but so the youth hurts the tank the least. You have his rights in restricted free agency. You can promise him a bigger role, so maybe he'll be happy. And yeah, I think he's worth the risk. I think, I just think he hates his situation in Oklahoma City. I think he's so tired of being the sixth man. And another thing is Sam Presti does not know how to trade at all. So I think you can potentially rip them off by trading with them. I mean, you just look at the Houston trade, and that tells
Robert Sacre in a conditional second.
Yeah.
That second that the Clippers might give us this year.
Yeah, that one.
No, for whatever reason, he'll turn that second pick into a superstar by the way he's drafted, though.
That's true.
But
that's the one thing he really does know how to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when you look at his trades, though, I mean, this is the same guy that also traded Jeff Green for Kendrick Perkins. I mean, that makes the Harden deal look pretty good, in all honesty, to me.
Yeah, seriously.
So it would be.
You need that toughness factor sometimes. He's teaching them how to win a championship, Gary. Don't hate.
He sets good screens, okay?
But I guess in terms of next year, our chances of making the playoffs, let's say, is much higher than with a Dragic, definitely. But
Yeah. Well, obviously, you still don't want to give up assets, which you might have to do with Oklahoma City, and with Dragic if you get him in free agency, or Reggie Jackson in free agency too, because I still don't think that Oklahoma City is going to match offers for him, especially if he gets it in that 12, 13, $14 million range or whatever. But I've been on the Reggie Jackson bandwagon since Game 4 of their first round playoff series last year, because it looked like they were just about to go down 3-1 to the Grizzlies, and he just saved them. It wasn't Durant, wasn't Westbrook, it was Reggie Jackson that saved them. So to me, I just gained a lot of respect for him and his game, because he was just not afraid of a huge moment where their season almost depended on stealing that game, and they did. So.
And with Jackson too, I don't think that you'd necessarily have to mortgage the future that much, at least in terms of giving up picks, because like we said, they have a need for Hill, they possibly have a need for Ellington, and so we're taking Perkins' contract off their hands, which with their skinflint owners does matter, and so maybe you need that Rockets pick to get it done, but I don't know, maybe you could get it done without that.
Right. And I mentioned Toronto earlier with Jordan Hill, because we talked about previously getting a late first-round pick from one of these contenders for Jordan Hill. But I was actually thinking if the Lakers went that route with Toronto, I'd like a guy like Terrence Ross. I would settle for somebody like that instead of a first-round pick, because he's a guy with upside, and he's not going to hurt the tank this year, and it could pay big dividends down the road. And he's a cheap contract, so if he doesn't, then oh well, it was worth the risk. And you probably wouldn't have to give up the Houston pick to get him if you're giving him Jordan Hill, a guy they could use. So yeah, I think we focus a little too much on draft picks and maybe instead of looking at just young guys that are already in the league that could turn out.
I'd absolutely do the Ross one.
Have you guys seen Reggie Jackson's splits as a starter this year?
Yeah.
I have, yeah.
They're incredible. 20 points, 8 assists, basically, a steal a game, shooting 85% from the free throw line. 3-point percentage needed to come up, but I mean that also had to do with the fact that his 3-pointers were probably coming at the end of the shot clock because nobody else was on the team.
And off the dribble too. He probably wasn't.
So I mean, like it's kind of a give and take, right? Because on one hand you want to say Luter and a riot because there was nobody else there, but his shooting percentage might have suffered because there was nobody there, right?
And that's a good point, and that's the first time that he was like the go-to guy of the offense in the NBA. So there's obviously going to be an adjustment period there. So that's a good point, though. His shooting efficiency wasn't great, but yeah, like you said, when you're a featured part of the offense and it's the first time in your career, it's probably not going to be very pretty. So.
Right. All right. So that I would say that that game was we'll go semi-successful.
It was fun. I like the puns.
I'll say it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Hope the listeners like that. If they don't, screw them. We're probably going to do it again. We're going to go with Harrison. You had a game that you wanted to trot out here.
Yeah. So
lead us into this.
Yeah. So I was going to. I looked up like a couple stats for the Lakers, and I also made up a couple stats. And I was just going to see if maybe I thought it would be a little entertaining if you guys tried to live on air figure out the difference. So I'll just go ahead and seek into the first one.
Now, with this one here, if you don't mind, Harrison.
Yeah.
I think it would be cool if we don't try to, like, if we just give real or fake.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Like if we just say like, all right, Gary, we'll start with Gary and then on down the line that way.
Okay.
So just say real or fake, and then you give us the and then we react afterward.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody, put your phones away and close your windows.
Yeah, don't cheat, guys.
Jeremy Lin stats.
How did you know my first question?
All right, go ahead, Harrison.
Okay, Carlos Boozer has a better net rating than Jeremy Lin. True or false? Gary?
Gosh, just from watching, I'd have to say true. Although I feel like it's false. I'm gonna say true, just because Boozer's actually played pretty well this year. He's still pretty bad on defense, but offensively, he's actually given the Lakers quite a bit, more than I think we all expected.
So remember that one time we said that we were just gonna say true or false? All right, go ahead, Matt.
I'll say true.
Rahul. Oh,
Can't hear
we
you,
lost Rahul's audio.
Thumbs up for true, thumbs down for false.
Okay, that's just a test.
All right, I'm gonna go false.
Okay, that one is true.
Boom.
Damn it. Now the Lynn fans even hate me even more because
You're already getting tweets right now.
Is worse than Carlos Boozer.
You got their hopes up too by saying false.
Yeah.
That was even worse. I apologize.
I thought you were calling me on my trolling. Okay, next one. Ed Davis has the highest true shooting percentage on the team.
I'll say true to that one as well.
True.
False.
Okay. Anthony got it. That one is false.
Oh wow, who is it?
It's Tarek Black.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say it'd be a major plot twist if it was Kobe.
No, that would only be if he hacked the NBA.com servers. It was not pretty having to scroll down for his. I don't remember where it was, but I think actually like Ellington is like third if I remember correctly. I'm not on the page right now. I wrote these down, but like that was crazy. He was like third or fourth. Okay. So Nick Young is sixth on the team in true shooting percentage, and I promise these aren't all true shooting percentage.
I'll say false to that one.
I'll go false.
True.
That one is true.
I'm starting to think this is rigged. You guys met up before the show.
I
He
am
missed the first one just to throw us off.
It's cool. With age comes wisdom, guys. Like it's all right. You youngins, you guys got to come up and learn your stats.
I feel like you should have a lot more wisdom then.
That's a fair point. That's a totally fair point. All right, go ahead, Rahul. Just quick test because we're really good at what we do. Can we hear you? No.
That is a no.
That is a no. We cannot.
I mean, we could just like one of us could like put our hands over our mouth and talk for him.
Kobe's the best. No, all right. So go ahead. You have another one, Harrison?
Yeah, no, I got a couple more. Carlos Boozer is second on the team in usage rate.
On a team with Kobe,
It's really sad. It says a lot about this year that you have to think about this one. It's like a real debate.
I'm gonna actually say true on this one.
I'm going false.
It hurts so bad to say this right now, guys, but I really think it's true.
It's actually false. Does anyone want to guess, like, really quick, who it is?
Who's second? Who's second?
Who's second? I mean, we all know number one's Kobe. Like, it's not even close, but it's a pretty steep drop-off. But
is it Nick Young?
It is Nick Young.
Wow.
That's my guess. No, I honestly, I'm happy I got that wrong. That would have, like
that is that like nothing says tank more than Carlos Boozer is your second in usage rate in 2015. So
there's no denying that you're tanking.
I think your nose starts growing like Pinocchio if you say that in Carlos Boozer's second. So, all right.
Which is worse though? Which would be worse if I mean that Nick Young is second, or if
I mean at least it excuses his inefficiency a little bit. Because last year there's no way he was second on the team in usage rate last year under D'Antoni. So it at least gives you a little bit of hope that he can bounce back.
Yeah.
Not really.
I mean, not if defenders keep making dolphin noises at him, but.
All right, go ahead. Do you have another one for us, Harrison?
Yeah. All right. The Suns have a better assist ratio than the Lakers.
I'm gonna say true to that one too.
That just seemed like a trick question. I'm gonna go false.
It feels like it too. I'm gonna go true. That flies way too far in the face of logic.
It's actually false. They're the Lakers are 26 and the Suns are 27.
Wow.
Jeff Hornacek should be fired right now. No wonder Goran Dragic wants to leave. Jeff Hornacek is a terrible coach.
Yeah, I saw that one and like I did it though. I don't know how that one's true. Like I don't. Yeah, I have no idea about that one. I got four more if you guys can handle it.
That has to be a statistical anomaly. Like that had like.
That's crazy. Yeah.
I don't know how that's even. That's why I had to throw it in there. Like it almost seems like so blatant of like a trick question that like you have to believe it's true.
Yeah.
But like it's not somehow. I don't know.
Here's where I do my terrible Charles Barkley impersonation. Like, see, folks, like first of all, I've been telling y'all them analytics, man. First of all, on my second point, man. If that's right, man, all right, I'm done. I'm good.
Well, and that makes me wonder if it's a byproduct of Dragic being less featured in the offense.
Yeah.
I feel last year, that number had to be a lot higher.
It's the Isaiah Thomas effect.
Yeah.
All right, so
we'll do a couple more here.
all right, I got 4 more if you guys are up for it. But the highest Laker 3-point percentage over the last 6 games. This one was more of an open-ended one, just for you guys to guess which guy it is.
Okay,
Sorry.
so wait, repeat that again.
The highest 3-point percentage of any Laker over the last 6 games.
I would have to say, Wayne Ellington.
Yeah, Wayne Ellington.
Robert Sacre.
You are drunk. It's Lynn actually with 50%.
Oh man, now his stands are never gonna be quiet.
Yeah, Jeremy Lin. There is a 6-game stretch where he shot 50% on 3. So MVP, like I'm not gonna say he's the MVP, but I'm not gonna not say it. I'm gonna leave it out there. That's for our viewers to decide.
All right. To be fair, so that just so you guys don't think that I'm actually drunk on the air, my thinking was that was another trick question, and Robert Sacre shot something at the end of a shot clock and made a 3-pointer.
1 of 1.
I thought you were.
If he shot 1, made 1, he'd have a perfect shooting percentage over the last 6 games. So, just so we're clear, I hate that I had to defend myself on an answer.
All right. So highest free throw percentage over that last 6.
Highest free throw percentage.
I'm going Nick Young.
Has he played in the last 6 though? In all 6?
Yeah, he had the Dolphin game, man.
Gosh, I'll say Ryan Kelly.
Man, free throws is like when I'm usually tweeting. So this is tough. I'll go Jeremy Lin.
It's actually Wes Johnson. He is 100% over the last 6 games.
Take that, Kevin Ding.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So that's what I was about to say. Like, is that Wes's fault?
Oh, that's right. I think they were actually talking about. He had like a little streak going. I think there.
Yeah.
That's right. I do remember that now.
They were doing their best to jinx him. Billy Mack's on the tank.
I was gonna say that's a great take.
All right. So highest points per game over the last 6. This is the last one. I miscounted.
I would have to say Ellington again on that one. Seems like he's played really, really well lately.
Yeah, I'd go Ellington too. That was gonna be my guess.
I'm going Jordan Clarkson.
You guys suck at this game. It's Boozer.
Oh, I just
Booze
praised
Cruise
him
to the
like
rescue.
Jeez.
All right,
15.5 points a game over the last 6.
Just for professionalism's sake, Rahul, try and say something and let's see if we can hear you. Nothing. This is what you get for being late.
Rahul's mic is tanking.
Tony Reale just muted him and forgot to take it off.
All right. So that was the last question, Harrison?
That was it.
All right. I wanted to end on a completely random question. I really enjoyed the whole fruit starting 5 thing that we did. So what we're going to do this time, who knew hamburgers was such a hot topic on Twitter? So the other day I tweeted that, like, what to do with Five Guys. I've never eaten Five Guys or whatever, and people freaked out and stuff like that. So I wanted to go with our starting 5 fast food restaurants. We have 5 minutes to figure this out. I'm leading the way with In-N-Out. Oh, and you are not a fast food restaurant if you do not have a drive-thru. So Chipotle, get out of here.
Ooh, that's
so it's just burgers?
No, like all fast food. It could be all like Taco Bell's in there, Del Taco, Whataburger. For those of you who are, more Eastern, do you guys have any? I mean, does McDonald's stretch over there, like way out there in Boise, Gary?
We have a McDonald's on like every corner. It's ridiculous.
So yeah,
Like,
my nominee.
2 McDonald's to bring in an In-N-Out.
I'd throw in Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A would be my top 5 for sure.
Ooh,
All right, that's a popular one. That's a good one.
Yeah, that was actually what I was gonna say
like
that because
eating
we
a
just
lot.
got a couple new ones here in Boise.
Yeah, that place is great. I don't really have like any. I literally don't have any other ones that I go to.
Yeah,
Alright.
you're asking the wrong person. I'm like basically a vegetarian. Like
What?
I very rarely eat meat.
That's not right. Like now I have to rethink your contract. All right, so since I'm the guy with the most chins on this podcast, I'm gonna go with there's a.
That was my next trivia question. Damn it.
I think I do have one since Matt said Chick-fil-A, and since their whole motto is based on like being freaky fast, I will say Jimmy John's is a good one too.
Oh, that is good. Do they have a drive-thru though?
Well, at least the ones here in Boise do.
Okay.
We have one that's such an awkward drive-through because you're driving like to the right. Like usually they all bend around to the left.
Oh, whoa!
But the windows on the left, but you drive around right.
Oh, wow.
Like, and it's not a lane. It's just like an open area that you get close to the wall. It's so awkward.
That would throw me off.
Well,
I'm a fan of that place though. The place is good. They opened one in Isla Vista my senior year.
they're in Boise. Like you just have a bunch of like land that you can just build. However, like who cares about efficiency? Like you can just do whatever you want.
That is true. That is true. Like I've flown from Boise to Portland a number of times because I have friends and family out there, and it's nothing but fields and mountains like the whole way. It sucks to have a window seat. It like puts you to sleep in all honesty.
All right, so we have 4 so far.
No, I think that's just 3. We have like a big 3. I don't even know. We don't have a starting 5 yet.
In-N-Out, Chick-fil-A. What was the one you named? I've never been there before.
Jimmy John's.
Jimmy John's. I'm gonna nominate Church's Chicken because it has to be nominated. We can't live in a world where that's on a nominee. Harrison, have you ever been through a drive-through?
No, I used to be like pretty heavy. I just don't really like eat meat anymore. Like I just that's a different podcast, but some philosophy classes and made me kind of rethink my choices on that. So I don't know. I'm mostly vegetarian.
So are you like strictly Subway then?
Like I do Subway sometimes.
It's probably what's the spot down there in Newport, or the is it True Food, or what's it?
Oh, that place I've heard is awful.
No, the big grocery stores that like
Whole Foods.
Whole
What's
Foods,
that?
yeah.
No,
Whole
that's out of my price range.
Oh yeah, they're ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh, but the food is so good.
That place is amazing.
That's incredible. Too bad that doesn't count. All right, we have one more to come up with. Matt, why don't you go ahead and bring one up?
I like the smoothies at McDonald's. They have a drive-thru. Does that count?
No. McDonald's.
Like the red box.
Yeah.
It's tough, yeah, because I literally only go to In-N-Out and Chick-fil-A. I don't eat anywhere else for fast food.
All right, I'm going to go again.
Take
I'm
it
going to
away.
go again. It's a SoCal only kind of place, I believe, but it's called Rigoberto's. They have the best damn burritos in the whole world. It's open 24 hours, which is very useful for those of you who are in undergrad and stuff. That's a great spot.
Is that in like Santa Ana kind of area?
They're all over the place, but
Yeah, I think I just went there with one of my friends on New Year, but anyway, yeah.
Oh, their carne asada fries.
Yeah, we have a,
Right, like greater signs. Like what's the thing people do on Twitter where it's just like Rigoberto's greater.
Yeah.
we have a well-rounded starting 5 though. Burgers, chicken, burritos.
And the people who eat there are well-rounded too. So that's perfect. All right, guys. Well, it was a pleasure talking to you guys. We're gonna do this again tomorrow after the trade deadline, when Reggie Jackson is a Laker and Jordan Hill is on the Thunder and Jeremy Lin is playing elsewhere.
And don't forget Durant is coming over with Reggie Jackson.
Right. We didn't have an opportunity to do a very crucial segment or what would have been a fun segment. So we'll have to rethink the way we do that tomorrow. That's what they call a teaser in this business. You'll have to tune in again tomorrow to catch that little tidbit. All right. Thanks again, guys, for tuning in. Gary, Harrison, Rahul, who is elsewhere, and Matt. Thanks again.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Go
it's
Lakers.
fun.